Hey guys, so fortunately my cough is a little bit better, so I won't be dying on camera like I was last time. But today we are going to talk about two texts. We're going to talk about They Say, I Say, specifically chapter 7, and we're going to talk about some Stephen King, which will be fun. So what They Say, I Say is a book on how to write, essentially. And it's not just like an Elements of Style or, a workbook or something like that. It does have some exercises that I'm going to point out that I think are really useful. But other than that, let's get started. So, what this chapter covers is called So What, Who Cares? Saying Why It Matters. So, in a couple weeks back, we talked about strong introductions and strong conclusions, right? I lied to you, I'm sorry. So, what we really want in a strong introduction is why we should care about your paper. With the think piece, we kind of had the narrative device to set that up and be like, this is why you should care about my paper because I care about it, and here's my anecdote. We can't really do that with a research paper. It's not the right kind of genre for it. So instead, we can ask questions like, so what? Is there a reason that I'm reading this paper, for instance? Who cares? And here you can bring in some experts. Be like, these people care, therefore you should care. Or set yourself up as an expert. And, my topic is important because. That sort of thing. Let me zoom in on my PDF. There are some really great templates on page 95 that help you come up with some sentence generation that will give you some ideas on if you're stuck, if you're like, I don't know why they should care. You can look at these templates and kind of plug your ideas into them. So for instance, recent studies like these shed new light on your topic, which previous studies have not addressed. So you're giving new information on a topic that makes people care about it. What else do we have? These findings challenge the work of earlier researchers who tended to assume that incorrect thing. This interpretation challenges the work of those critics who have long assumed that blah blah blah. That's a really great one for English-based essays. For instance, if you wanted to do a paper on Shakespeare and come up with kind of a fresh new idea, that's a good one to use. Like, previous scholars have said this, but this new information has come to light that shows a different interpretation. That sort of thing. So those are really great templates to use. So that is our why do we care? So then we have our so what? And it gets a little bit more specific than who cares. And you know, we have examples like ultimately what the stake here is blah. These findings have important implications for the broader domain of, or the broader field of, or the subject of, things like that. If we are right about blank, then many consequences follow for the field. This conclusion or discovery will have significant applications in this field as well as that field. So you're giving us really specific ideas of what we should bring away from it. And then we have a brief chapter called As a Result, connecting the parts, tying it all together. I really like this chapter because it gives a very great visual interpretation on page 107. This is a chapter about transitions, and I highly recommend that you guys look it over. Because transitions are hard, even for me. I completely forget to go from one paragraph to another with a transition, and I'll just be like, okay, this paragraph is done, next paragraph. But, you know, I need to slow myself down and come up with a transition between two paragraphs. And this method works between sentences, between paragraphs, between subjects. So basically, you have over here your last sentence, your previous sentence, and then over here you have your next sentence. And you kind of weave them together into one cohesive sentence. For instance, while the ice caps melting is a factor in global climate change, an equally important thing to consider is blank. So we've talked about our previous subject. We've said that's important. We've said this next one is important, and then we've said what it is. So that's just a really quick and easy way to do a transition that I think is fantastic. And then it has this great list of transitional phrases. If you're not sure how to shift seamlessly from one sentence to another, the words on 109 and 110 are really great. And then for concluding things, make sure to repeat key terms and phrases. Bring our minds back to the beginning of the essay and remind us, so what, who cares? So everything connects back to each other. I'd like you guys to read this in a little more detail because I think it's a really important text, and I think it's incredibly useful. So there will be a discussion board on this section, and like that. So stay tuned for the second half of the lecture, which will be on Stephen King's On Writing.